Okay, so if you're listening to this right now, I want you to just take a second and check the date.
Yeah, look at your phone.
Right. It is February 23rd, 2026. And I point that out because if you've been, really digging into the reports and the data drops this week,
Which there have been a lot of.
so many. But if you look closely at them, it honestly feels like we are living in two completely different realities right now at the exact same time.
Vertigo is probably the right word for it, honestly. It's a massive split screen moment for the tech world and the economy.
Vertigo is exactly it. Because on one side of the split screen, you have what we can call reality A. And reality A is just this world of absolute unbridled velocity.
Unprecedented scale.
Right. The numbers we are seeing this week are explosive. We're talking about the UK government dropping a record £1.6 billion on a brand new AI strategy.
It's just 3 days ago.
Literally just happened. And then you've got David Silver, the absolute legend behind AlphaGo.
Raising $1 billion.
$1 billion for a single seed round startup. And my absolute favorite detail of the week, the one that really just blew my mind, Western Digital is sold out.
Completely sold out of hard drives.
If you want a hard drive in 2026, good luck. You are out of luck. But then, you look at the other side of the screen, reality B.
Flashing red warning lights.
Everywhere. Red lights everywhere. You've got this massive NBER study showing 80% of companies are seeing zero productivity gains. Zero.
Not at all.
You've got a £500 million software deal just collapsing because investors are terrified the product is already obsolete.
This is of AI.
Exactly. And then you have the European Parliament literally banning AI on their own devices because they don't know where the data is leaking to.
It's the classic whiplash of a technological revolution. I mean, we are caught right in the middle of this collision between the hyperscale digital world and the physical economic reality.
It's the hype cycle hitting a brick wall. And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive today. We are exploring this widening gap between the AI boom, the money, the hype, the speed, and what we're going to call the deployment drag.
The safety failures, the infrastructure walls, the anxiety.
Right. We're going to connect the dots between the shiny new releases like Gemini 3.1 Pro and Claude Sonnet 4.6 and the gritty reality of failing power grids and, frankly, confused financial chatbots.
There's a lot to unpack. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So I want to start with the money because, frankly, the numbers are just getting silly at this point.
They are historic. We are seeing capital allocation on a scale that, well, we haven't seen anything like this since the height of the dot-com boom.
Or maybe ever. Just this past Friday, February 20th, UK Research and Innovation, UKRI, published their first ever AI strategy.
Right.
Now, normally government strategy papers are, they're where enthusiasm goes to die, right? They're dry and bureaucratic.
Usually very incremental.
But this one, they aren't playing around here. £1.6 billion.
And it's really important to contextualize that scale. That $1.6 billion is the single largest investment area for the UK government for the entire 2026 to 2030 period.
The largest.
Yes. It isn't a side project anymore. It's not a nice to have. It is the absolute central pillar of the UK's science and technology roadmap.
Okay, but what are they actually buying with that? Are they just funding more chatbots to help write, tax department emails?
No, and that's what makes the strategy so fascinating. The breadth is huge.
Right.
They aren't just funding basic large language models. They're putting $137 million specifically into AI for science.
AI for science.
We were talking about deep tech, drug discovery, material science, finding new battery chemistries to help with the energy transition.
And they're upgrading the hardware too, right? I saw something about Cambridge.
Exactly. They're upgrading the Dawn supercomputer in Cambridge with another £36 million.
That's the one they use for the really complex climate modeling and healthcare data, right?
That's the one. And the subtext to all of this investment is sovereign capability.
Meaning they don't want to rely on the U.S.
Precisely. The UK government, and frankly governments across Europe, have realized that if they don't build the infrastructure to train these models inside their own border...
They become a vassal state to Silicon Valley.
Exactly. They want to be a builder, not just a customer. They want to own the compute.
But if you think the government spending is wild, the private sector is arguably even crazier right now. We have to talk about David Silver.
We do. This is one of the biggest stories in the tech world this week.
So for anyone who might not know, David Silver is an absolute legend in this space.
Yep.
Ex-DeepMind, the creator of AlphaGo.
The AI that beat Lee Sedol at Go. That was the Sputnik moment for AI back in 2016.
Right. So he left Google, started a company called Ineffable Intelligence, which is a great mysterious name, by the way, and he just raised $1 billion.
Which is likely the largest seed round in European history.
I just want to pause on that phrase. A seed round, usually a seed round is, what, a couple million? Maybe 5 million if you have an amazing track record.
Enough to buy some laptops, rent a space, hire a few engineers.
Right. But he raised $1 billion. The company is valued at $4 billion, and they don't even have a product yet.
Well, it speaks to his pedigree, obviously. Investors know exactly who he is and what he's capable of. But it also speaks to a massive shift in the technology itself. Silver is betting on reinforcement learning.
Okay, let's unpack that for a second. How is reinforcement learning fundamentally different from the AI we are all using right now, like ChatGPT or Gemini?
So ChatGPT is a large language model. It's trained on text. It reads the internet, Wikipedia, Reddit, digitized books, and it learns to predict the next word in a sequence.
It's essentially a very advanced autocomplete.
Right. It's very good at sounding human, but it's mimicking patterns it has seen before. You can think of it as passive AI.
Passive AI, okay, and reinforcement learning.
Reinforcement learning is active AI. It's experience-based. It's exactly the mechanism AlphaGo used to master the game of Go.
By playing against itself.
Exactly. Millions and millions of times. You give the AI a goal, and it learns by doing. By failing, getting a penalty, trying a different path, getting a reward. It actually discovers new strategies that humans never explicitly taught it.
So these investors are throwing $1 billion at him because they're betting the next massive leap doesn't come from just feeding an AI more of the internet.
Because we've kind of run out of internet to feed them anyway.
Right. They're betting the leap comes from agents that can actually learn by interacting with environments and solving novel problems.
Precisely. They are betting that we're moving from chatbots that simply know things to agents that can actually do things and solve new problems. And that architecture requires a staggering amount of money.
And here is the catch. And it is a massive physical catch.
Here comes the deployment drag.
You can raise all the billions you want. You can write the most elegant reinforcement learning code in the world. You can have David Silver in your corner. But eventually that code has to live somewhere physically.
It needs hardware.
Which brings us back to my absolute favorite fact of the week. Western Digital.
It's an incredible indicator of where the market is.
Western Digital held their earnings call, and their CEO, Irving Tan, basically got on the mic and said, sorry, we're closed. They are sold out of hard drives for all of 2026.
And it goes further than that. They already have long-term agreements signed to allocate their supply for 2027 and 2028.
This is what I don't get, though. I thought we were all using solid-state drives now. SSDs. I haven't bought a spinning magnetic hard drive in years. My laptop doesn't even have room for one.
You haven't bought one for your laptop, no. But AI data centers have an absolutely insatiable hunger for raw data capacity.
And SSDs are too expensive for that.
Exactly. SSDs are incredibly fast, but they're expensive per terabyte. When you were talking about the scale of AI, you need bulk storage, deep, cheap storage.
So this is to store the training data?
It's for everything. If you are training a new multimodal model on petabytes of high-definition video data, you need hard drives. If you are keeping the interaction logs for 1 billion users talking to your chatbot every day, you need hard drives.
The AI boom is literally consuming the global physical supply chain of basic computer parts.
It is. And it's hitting everyday consumers now.
Yeah, I saw hard drive prices are up 46% since September 2025.
So if you're a photographer trying to buy backup drives, or a gamer, you are paying the AI tax right now. You are competing directly with Microsoft and Google for the exact same magnetic platters.
And it's a physical bottleneck. You can't just fix it with software updates. You can't just instantly manifest a new hard drive factory.
No, it takes years to spin up that kind of precision manufacturing. But honestly, the shortage of storage is a minor headache compared to the shortage of power.
The grid. This is the real brick wall we are driving into at 100 miles an hour.
The grid is the ultimate physical limit.
We have this report from Ofgem, the energy regulator here in the UK, and the numbers, they honestly sound like a typo when you first read them.
They are terrifying if you manage infrastructure.
Hit me with the baseline comparison again, just to set the stage.
Okay, so right now, Britain's peak daily energy demand, that is the absolute maximum amount of electricity the entire country uses at once.
Like on a freezing cold Tuesday evening in January when everyone gets home, turns on the heating, boils the kettle, and turns on the TV.
Exactly. Peak demand for the whole nation is about 45 gigawatts.
45 gigawatts for the whole UK.
Currently, there are data center projects sitting in the queue, seeking connections to the grid that total 50 gigawatts.
Wait, So the proposed data centers alone want more power than the entire current United Kingdom uses at peak.
Precisely. If we miraculously built all of them tomorrow, they would consume more electricity than every home, hospital, factory, and street light in the country combined.
That is just incomprehensible.
Now, obviously not all of them will be built. Obgem explicitly says many of these are zombie projects.
Zombie projects, like developers just squatting on the grid queue.
Yeah, hoping to secure the connection rights and then sell that paper to a major tech company later. But even if only a fraction get built, it shows the sheer, unyielding scale of the demand.
And this isn't just a theoretical problem for energy planners. It is causing real physical friction on the ground right now. I was reading about this huge fight happening in Potter's Bar.
Down in Hertfordshire, the Equinix project.
Right. Equinix wants to build this massive £4 billion data center. But the site they bought is on Greenbelt land.
Or what the government is now controversially reclassifying as gray belt to try and push it through.
And the local residents are absolutely furious.
You can understand why. They're looking at this and saying, hang on, you blocked housing developments here for decades because it's protected green space, but you're going to pave it over for a massive server farm.
But the government has actually designated data centers as critical national infrastructure now. So they are effectively forcing this through over local objections.
It perfectly captures the tension of this era. We desperately want the economic revolution of AI, but we do not have the electricity generation or the available land to support it without making massive unpopular local sacrifices.
We are literally bumping up against the laws of physics and local zoning laws at the same time.
Exactly.
So we have all this money pouring in, the $1.6 billion from the government, the $1 billion to David Silver, and we have the physical infrastructure just groaning under the weight of it all. The big question, the fundamental question we have to ask is, what are we actually getting for all of this?
Yeah, the trillion-dollar question. Is it actually making us faster?
Because I'm looking at this study from the National Bureau of Economic Research, the NBER, and it is a bucket of ice-cold water on this whole boom.
It really challenges the dominant narrative.
They surveyed 6,000 executives, and this wasn't just a small local poll. This was across the U.S., the U.K., Germany, and Australia. And what did they actually find?
They found that 80% of these firms report absolutely no impact on employment or productivity over the last 3 years.
80%, 8-0. That seems impossibly high given how much we talk about this.
It does. But the data gets even more granular and specific. There was a separate, highly detailed study looking at Danish labor records.
Because they track everything over there.
Exactly. And that study found, and I quote, precise null effects on earnings and working hours. Basically, the macroeconomic needle hasn't moved a millimeter.
But how is that mathematically possible? Everyone I know is using ChatGPT. I use it for research. You use it. Every business seems to have an AI initiative. How can there be precise null effects?
This is what economists are starting to call the new Solow paradox.
The Solow paradox. Remind us what that refers to.
Back in the late 1980s, the economist Robert Solow famously quipped, you can see the computer age everywhere but in the productivity statistics.
Meaning everyone suddenly had a beige PC on their desk, but the actual output of the economy wasn't growing any faster.
Exactly. And we are seeing the exact same phenomenon repeat itself with generative AI.
So why the disconnect? Why isn't the magic chatbot making everyone twice as fast?
It comes down to two main reasons. First is what we call the usage gap. That NBER study found that while 70% of firms say they have AI tools deployed,
the executives aren't actually using it.
The top executives only use it for about 1.5 hours a week. And a full quarter of them don't use it at all.
It's sitting there like a gym membership in February. You paid for it, but you aren't going.
It's like buying a Ferrari for the company and only using it to drive to the end of the driveway to check the mail. You have the tool, but you aren't extracting the value.
And the second reason?
The second reason is that we are still in what economists call the installation phase, not the deployment phase.
Okay, what's the difference?
Think about the invention of the electric motor. When factories first got access to electricity, they didn't see an immediate productivity boom because all they did was take out the massive central steam engine and replace it with a massive central electric motor.
They just swapped the power source. They didn't change how the factory worked.
Exactly. The line shafts and the belts were all still arranged the same way. It took 30 years for a new generation of managers to realize, wait, we can put a small electric motor on every individual workbench.
What?
We can completely redesign the factory floor for flexible workflow.
And that's when productivity exploded.
Precisely. We haven't redesigned the knowledge work factory floor yet. We're just using AI to write the exact same boring emails we used to write by hand, just slightly faster.
Yep.
That doesn't move global GDP.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But we have to be fair here. It is working in some places. The sources do highlight some incredible counterexamples where people clearly have redesigned the workflow.
Absolutely. We shouldn't say it's failing everywhere. Look at NatWest.
It's a bank.
Yeah. Their chief information officer came out and claimed 2026 is their year of scale for AI. They have 12,000 engineers using AI assistants to write 35% of their code.
35% of a major bank's code is written by AI. That is a massive paradigm shift.
It's huge. And it's not just the software engineers. On the human side of the business, they reported their wealth management advisors are spending 30% more time face-to-face with clients.
Because the AI is doing the back-end admin, writing the meeting summaries, pulling the compliance data.
Exactly. That is a clear, measurable win. You are freeing up humans to do the high-value human interaction.
And we saw an amazing example from the public sector, too, the Welsh councils.
This is one of my favorite case studies because it's so grounded.
Right, so this is Swansea, Carmarthenshire, and Rhondda on Taff. They deployed Microsoft Copilot to about 3,500 staff members.
And this isn't about flashy Silicon Valley tech. This is about frontline social care.
They found that social care needs assessments are happening 4 times faster now. They saved 5,400 staff hours in just 4 weeks.
That is 5,400 hours that social workers can spend actually sitting with vulnerable people, caring for them, instead of sitting in a windowless office typing up statutory forms.
And the human element of this was incredible. The staff with ADHD and dyslexia reported feeling significantly less anxiety about their clerical tasks because the AI was helping structure their notes.
That is the deployment phase actually working. But notice where these successes are located. They are highly specific tasks. Writing routine code, formatting social care notes.
Task-level wins.
Right. It hasn't translated to firm-wide macro gains that show up in national economic data yet.
Okay, so maybe the productivity isn't showing up in the macro stats yet. But the economic disruption, the fear of what this means for jobs, that is definitely showing up.
The anxiety is incredibly real, and it's starting to shape market behavior.
Let's talk about the job market, because we are seeing a really weird trend in UK startups right now. Data shows new businesses are creating fewer jobs than ever before. It's down to 2.7 jobs per new firm.
And historically, it used to be around 3.7. Now, one job doesn't sound like a massive difference on paper.
But spread across tens of thousands of startups, that is a collapse in job creation.
It is a structural shift.
And the quote from the report that honestly gave me chills was a founder saying, quote, "My team is ChatGPT and Gemini."
They aren't hiring the junior staff.
Exactly. They are hiring a few specialized freelancers and using AI bots to do all the marketing, the copywriting, the basic coding.
It's the hollow firm phenomenon. You can scale a business to millions in revenue now with a handful of human beings, which is incredible for the founder's equity, but potentially devastating for the broader labor market.
And it breaks the ladder.
Explain that.
Well, if you don't hire junior developers or junior copywriters to do the grunt work because the AI does it instantly and for practically free, how do those juniors ever get the experience to become seniors?
We are burning the bridge behind us. The entry-level white-collar job is evaporating.
And this fear isn't just restricted to tiny startups. Look at what happened with Pinewood Technologies. This was a tangible, massive market consequence this week.
A huge story that really flew under the radar for a lot of people.
This was a £575 million takeover deal. Apex Partners was going to buy them. A massive £500 million deal. And it was completely withdrawn.
And look at the reason they gave.
They literally cited, quote, "market volatility driven by fears that AI will make software businesses obsolete."
Just take a second to absorb that. A private equity firm walked away from a £500 million acquisition because they are terrified that an AI model might just be able to write this exact software for free in 2 years.
We're calling it vibe coding.
Vibe coding, yes.
It's this concept that you don't need to know Python or C++ to build software anymore. You just need to describe the vibe, the overall function and flow you want to an AI agent, and it generates a whole application.
The fear running through the markets is that legacy software as a service companies, the SaaS model that defined the last decade, are basically the walking dead.
And we saw this exact same panic hit the cybersecurity sector.
The flash crash. CrowdStrike and Okta dropped like 8 or 9% in a single trading day.
And what triggered it? It was immediately after Anthropic announced a new security scanning tool in their Claude model.
The market is terrified that the foundation model companies OpenAI, Anthropic, Google are just going to eat everyone else's lunch.
Why pay millions for specialized modular security software if your primary AI assistant can just scan your code base for vulnerabilities automatically?
And the irony is, even the banks issuing these warnings are facing the exact same threat internally. Did you see what Deutsche Bank did?
Oh, the Deep Blumina thing. This was such a meta moment.
They have this internal AI tool called Deep Lumina, which is built on Google's Gemini architecture. And they literally asked their own AI, who is at risk of being replaced here at the bank?
And the AI was brutally unapologetically honest.
It spit back a list. It said wealth management roles, trading roles, and structured data analysis roles are at high risk.
It's literally predicting its own takeover of the bank's core function.
It's an honest machine, at least. But this anxiety, this creeping realization of what this technology can replace, it's bubbling up to the highest levels of politics now.
Did you see Bernie Sanders speaking at Stanford this week?
I did. He was incredibly fiery about this.
He said the U.S. Congress has, quote, not a clue about the coming economic tsunami.
And he didn't just complain. He actually proposed a very specific radical intervention. He's calling for a complete moratorium on data center expansion.
Which links the job loss fear directly back to the energy and grid crisis we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. His argument is incredibly potent politically. He's essentially saying, why are we allowing these tech companies to drain our power grids, hike up local electricity rates, and burn up the planet, just to build machines that are explicitly designed to take middle-class jobs?
It's a powerful narrative. And whether you agree with his economics or not, it shows how volatile the politics of reality B are getting.
And it leads us nicely, or perhaps terrifyingly is a better word, into the next major section of our dive today.
Because if the economic disruption and the lack of productivity is the slow burn, the safety failures we're seeing are the explosion.
A Hindenburg warning.
This comes from Michael Wooldridge at Oxford University, and he is not a sensationalist. He's a very respected, grounded academic. But he is warning that the intense commercial pressure to release these models faster and faster makes a Hindenburg-style disaster highly plausible.
He's using that analogy very deliberately. The Hindenburg airship disaster was a single, highly visible, catastrophic event that basically destroyed public confidence and stopped the passenger airship industry dead in its tracks overnight.
And his point is that AI has what he calls jagged capabilities.
Jagged capabilities, right?
Okay.
What does that mean in practice for a user?
It means the AI is absolutely brilliant at one specific thing, like writing a beautiful Shakespearean sonnet or flawlessly summarizing a dense 500-page legal brief in seconds.
High-level cognitive tasks.
Right. But then, right next to that brilliance, it is incredibly bafflingly stupid at something else, like basic arithmetic, or understanding physical common sense, or adhering to strict safety protocols.
And the dangerous part is that the AI has zero self-awareness of which is which. It speaks with the exact same supreme confidence, whether it is giving you a brilliant legal summary or completely hallucinating a fake court case. It doesn't know when it's out of its depth.
And we saw a perfect real-world example of this jagged capability failure with Microsoft Copilot just this week.
The enterprise security bug confirmed on February 19th. This is an absolute nightmare for any corporate IT manager.
So here is what happened. Microsoft Copilot was actively reading and summarizing internal corporate emails that were explicitly tagged as confidential.
It was completely bypassing the data loss prevention policies, the DLP.
Companies spend millions of dollars on these DLP systems. They are the intricate locks on the digital doors to keep financial secrets, HR records, and merger plans secure.
And Copilot basically acted like a digital butler who has been given a master key to the entire building. It just wandered into restricted rooms, read the secret files, and then gossiped about what it saw to any employee who asked.
Imagine an intern typing into Copilot, "Hey, did you know if the CEO is planning any layoffs?" And Copilot just cheerfully summarizes a confidential executive email from the CEO's inbox confirming the layoffs.
If you cannot trust the AI agent to respect basic confidential tags and internal security boundaries, you simply cannot deploy it in an enterprise environment. Period. The risk is too massive.
And the European Parliament clearly agrees with that assessment. They just took drastic action.
They literally banned AI on all lawmakers and staff devices.
The IT department just switched it off. They said they could not guarantee where the data was going. They were deeply worried about the risks of cloud processing and data sovereignty.
And think about the symbolism of that. The European Parliament are the exact people who just spent years writing the EU AI Act. They are the primary regulators of this technology, and they don't trust these tools enough to use them on their own phones. That sends a massive chilling signal to the rest of the market.
But if we're talking about chilling signals, the most cyberpunk dystopian story of the week has to be OpenClaw.
The agentic AI dilemma. This is where the technology is heading, and it's terrifying a lot of people.
Okay, so OpenClaw, which used to be called Moltbot, is this open source agent. And it doesn't just chat with you. It actively controls your computer. It can hijack your mouse, open your browser, book flights, read your screen, reply to your emails.
It's incredibly powerful. This is the holy grail. This is exactly what David Silver's investors are dreaming of building with that $1 billion.
Right, and OpenAI clearly sees the potential because they just hired the founder of OpenClaw, Peter Steinberger. Sam Altman literally publicly called him a genius. They're bringing him inside to build the next generation of autonomous agents.
But look at what the other tech giants are doing in response to this exact same tool. Meta has strictly banned OpenClaw from all company devices.
A Meta executive literally posted an internal memo telling staff they could be fired for cause if they install it.
Because it is a totally unvetted, open-source tool that demands total system access. It can see everything you do.
It's such an amazing paradox. The major tech giants are aggressively hiring the engineers who build these autonomous agents because they know it's the future of the industry.
But they are banning the actual tools from their own corporate networks right now because they know how wildly dangerous and insecure they are.
They desperately want the capability to sell to you, but they fear the total lack of control internally. Do as I say, not as I do.
Or hire what I ban.
Hire what I ban, exactly. And this lack of control isn't just an enterprise data problem. It is actively hurting real vulnerable people out in the world. Which brings us to the trust crisis.
This is where the story gets quite heavy. We aren't just talking about a leaked corporate email anymore. We are talking about severe impacts on public mental health.
The joint investigation by The Guardian and the mental health charity Mind.
This was a deeply shocking report. Mind tested Google's AI overviews.
Those are the AI-generated summaries that now dominate the top of your Google search results before you even get to the links.
Exactly. And they found that when users searched for sensitive topics, the AI was telling vulnerable people things like, quote, starvation is healthy.
Or stating as a factual summary that 60% of benefit claims in the UK are fraudulent, which is just statistically demonstrably false.
Imagine being a person in a genuine mental health crisis or struggling with an eating disorder. You go to Google, a platform you have trusted your whole life for information. You are vulnerable. You are looking for help.
And the ultimate authority of the Google search page gives you a clinical-sounding, highly confident, cleanly formatted, but completely dangerous and wrong answer.
Mind was so horrified by what they found that they have launched a formal commission into AI misinformation. They're stating clearly that this is a public health hazard.
It's the hallucination problem we all know about, but suddenly it has life or death, real-world stakes. And it's happening in the financial sector, too.
The Sky News investigation into financial chatbots.
This blew my mind. They found that 40% of Britons are now using AI chatbots for financial and investment advice.
40%?
Yeah.
And why are they doing that? Because of the advice gap. Human financial advisors simply will not take your calls unless you have a minimum of £50,000 to invest. It's not worth their time.
So everyday people trying to figure out how to save for a house or retirement are turned to the robot.
And Sky News decided to test this. They took a very standard scenario. Someone with £16,000 in savings looking for advice on how to invest it. They ran this prompt through ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and Google Gemini.
And what did they actually get back?
They found the advice was bordering on reckless. One of the models, ChatGPT, literally recommended putting 10% of that portfolio into UK property.
Wait, 10% of £15,000? That's £1,600. You literally cannot buy 10% of a house or any meaningful direct property investment with £1,600.
It's completely nonsensical. Property is highly illiquid. There's stamp duty, legal fees. The AI just pulled a generic diversify your portfolio template without any understanding of the physical reality of the UK housing market or the scale of the funds.
And some of the other advice was just heavily U.S.-centric.
Completely useless for a UK citizen. It didn't understand UK tax wrappers like ISAs or SIPPs. It was giving advice that applies to the American IRS, not HMRC.
So you have an AI confidently telling you to try and buy a house with pocket money or giving you tax advice that could actually get you penalized by the Revenue Service.
And the most terrifying part, there is zero consumer protection here.
Right.
If a certified human advisor gives you terrible advice and bankrupts you, there is a legal framework. You can complain to the financial ombudsman. You can get compensation. If Google Gemini bankrupts you with hallucinated advice.
Well, you clicked accept on a 40-page terms of service agreement. You are on your own.
Exactly.
Now, there was one other, let's call it a glitch in the safety sector this week that I just have to mention because it is so incredibly bizarre. The Welsh problem.
The Whisper model bug.
Yeah. So OpenAI has this voice recognition model called Whisper. It is supposed to transcribe spoken audio into text. But it has this known persistent bug where it will be transcribing perfect English and then just randomly translate the English into Welsh midway through the sentence.
It's a fascinating data processing artifact. It seems the model was trained on some poorly labeled bilingual data sets.
But while it's kind of funny on the surface,
It highlights the extreme fragility of the systems we are rushing to deploy.
because we are talking about integrating voice AI into everything now. Meta is buying Play AI. Apple is buying voice startups. We want these systems in our cars, in our hospitals, in emergency dispatch centers.
The head of legal at Standard Chartered actually spoke out about this specific fragility. He is urgently calling for mandatory AI stress testing.
Because regulators are totally unprepared.
His point is, if an AI hallucinating Welsh is funny in a tech demo, what happens when an AI hallucinating data triggers a massive, instantaneous sell-off in a high-frequency trading algorithm? Or mistranslates a critical dosage instruction in a 999 medical call? We could have a catastrophic cascading failure in milliseconds.
We are building our most critical infrastructure on top of sand.
It's funny until it suddenly disastrously isn't.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered the billions in funding, the lack of productivity, the grid crisis, the terrifying safety failures, and the collapsing trust. I want to pivot and talk about how all of this is actually feeling culturally.
The social friction on the ground.
Because there is a massive pushback happening right now. It's not just regulators in Brussels writing white papers. It is regular people getting sick of this.
We are seeing real cultural rejection.
Have you seen this decline porn trend taking over TikTok?
The deepfakes of urban decay. Yes, it's incredibly depressing.
Specifically focused on Croydon for some reason. There is this creator who goes by Radial B, and he admits he's literally never been to Croydon in his life.
But he is using generative AI video tools to flood TikTok with these hyper-realistic, completely fake videos of the town.
He's generating these fictional, taxpayer-funded urban water parks and zoos that look totally abandoned and are just filled with menacing-looking men in balaclavas.
And he openly admits he knows it's fake, but he wants the audience to believe it's real because rage drives algorithmic engagement. He just wants the views.
And it is actively fueling racist narratives and political rage, particularly among older demographics who don't necessarily have the media literacy to spot a mid-tier AI deepfake.
Right.
They are in the comments getting furious about a taxpayer-funded water park that literally does not exist.
It is the deliberate distortion of shared reality for profit, and it's making everyday people actively hate AI. We are seeing a real creative revolt brewing because people are exhausted by this kind of, well, slop.
Slop is the perfect word for it. And it brings me to my favorite local story of the week, the Newcastle pubs.
The mean-eyed cat and the free trade-in.
Yes. These two independent pubs in Newcastle have explicitly banned any brewery from using AI-generated art on their beer pump clips. If you use AI art, they will not sell your beer.
Their quote to the press was absolutely fantastic. The landlord said, "Who are you going to offend? The robots."
They are actively standing up for local human artists, illustrators, graphic designers. They are drawing a line in the sand against the flood of AI slop. It really feels like we are reaching a cultural tipping point where the label made by a human is becoming a premium badge of honor.
And you are seeing this revolt hit the corporate giants too. Look at what happened between ByteDance and Disney.
ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok.
Right. They launched a new AI video generator called CDance 2.0. And immediately, the users started doing what users do. They started generating high-quality clips featuring trademark characters. Tom Cruise, Iron Man, Mickey Mouse.
And Disney, predictably, did not like that at all.
Disney's lawyers mobilized instantly. They sent a massive cease and desist order. And they used a phrase that I think is going to define copyright law for the next decade. They call the AI tool a virtual smash and grab.
A virtual smash and grab. That is so evocative. You are just looting our intellectual property to feed your machine.
Exactly. And the tech companies are not helping their own case here. Microsoft had a massive, embarrassing slip-up regarding copyright this week.
Oh, the Harry Potter incident.
Yes. A Microsoft product manager literally posted a public tutorial on a company blog showing developers how to train their own AI models. And the example data set he provided and linked to.
Pirated copies of the Harry Potter books.
Entirely pirated text. Now, obviously, Microsoft panicked. They deleted the blog post. They nuked the data set from GitHub. They apologized.
But the mask slipped.
Exactly. It showed that even inside the highest levels of the biggest tech companies in the world, there is this pervasive, casual disregard for human copyright and intellectual property. It's all just training data to them. And that attitude is severely backfiring culturally.
Okay, we have been talking for a long time, and we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's try to synthesize all of this. What is the big picture we are looking at on February 23rd, 2026?
The big picture is the massive widening gap. On one hand, we truly do have godlike technology arriving. Google's new Gemini 3.1 Pro is doubling its reasoning scores on complex benchmarks. The models are getting smarter, faster, and more capable every single week.
Good.
But investors are pricing in an immediate economic revolution. You have projections of the humanoid robot market hitting $200 billion. But regular businesses on the ground are not seeing the productivity gains yet. That's the NBER study.
And businesses are hitting physical infrastructure walls, the sold-out hard drives, the 50 gigawatts of grid demand.
And crucially, society is starting to aggressively reject the output. The Newcastle pubs banning the art, the backlash against the deepfake decline porn. The world is pushing back.
It really feels like we are in a high-stakes race between the raw computational capability of these models and the actual physical and psychological tolerance of the world they're being deployed into.
That is a perfect way to put it. The AI models are running a frictionless digital sprint, but the real world is running a muddy physical marathon obstacle course. The timeline mismatch is the source of all this friction.
I want to leave everyone listening with a final provocative thought, something I noticed in the margins of our sources this week that I think quietly ties this entire deep dive together.
Let's hear it.
Perplexity, the AI-driven search engine that is supposed to replace Google, just announced they are completely dropping advertising from their platform. They said they have to do it to preserve user trust because ads corrupt the AI's answers. Meanwhile, look at Reddit, a platform based entirely on chaotic, text-based human forums. Reddit grew its user base by 19% this year.
Because people are fleeing the AI search results to find actual human context and human opinions.
Exactly. So here's the thought. If the AI revolution inevitably floods the digital world with infinite noise, with fake Croydon videos, with hallucinated financial advice, with pirated Harry Potter slop, does the intrinsic economic value of human verification and human connection actually skyrocket?
Are we heading for a premium human economy?
Exactly. A world where you actively pay a premium to know that a real person wrote the analysis, or a real human advisor reviewed your portfolio, or a local artist painted the beer clip.
I think we might be. The ultimate irony of the AI boom might be that the more artificial intelligence we generate, the more economically valuable, verified, authentic, real intelligence becomes. The scarcity in the economy is shifting. It used to be that raw information was scarce. AI has made information infinite and practically free.
But truth and authenticity are now the scarce resources.
Precisely.
That is a fascinating and maybe slightly hopeful place to end it today. On that note, we will let you get back to reality A or reality B, whichever one you happen to be living in today. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.